Okay, very good. So first, I want to also thank the Florida Department of Education for making this session opportunity available through their generous support of FLC. I think you're in for a treat today. We have Brooke Istas as a presenter, and Brooke has been an instructor of mathematics at Cowley College, which is in Kansas, since 2014. Prior to that, she served as instructional coordinator and a mathematics instructor for Cowley Adult Education and College Preparation Program. Brooke is a certified national trainer with the U.S. Department of Education's Links Professional Development Center, and also facilitates the Links Communities of Practice for Math and Numeracy. So she really knows her stuff. And if you're not familiar with the Links Community of Practice, I certainly encourage you to check that out. It's a great forum on a number of different topics run through Links. So thank you for joining us today, Brooke, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. So hi, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about math. So if you came to a webinar thinking this was English, just heads up, we're going to be doing some math. So we are going to look at algebraic concepts, and we're going to dive into trying to help our students have a deeper understanding of them. So as Greg had mentioned, I have taught in adult education for almost 20 years now, and I am a Links trainer as well as a moderator for math and numeracy. I am currently actually working on my PhD in math education, and my research focus is on adult education. So specifically GED learners and GED teachers. And so I'm in my final dissertation year. So I hope to have some good research for us from our little field that we do not get a lot of research in. So just so I know who's in the Zoom, if you would in the chat, would you maybe say your name and where you teach? Like, are you ABE, ASE, ELL, corrections? Are you program director? And mention the highest level math that you have ever taken or completed, and a little bit about the type of setting. Like, are you group? Do you one-on-one? Is it all online? Things like that. So if you could take a few minutes and let us know. So I actually have taught both in and outside of corrections. So that's part of the reason why I would like to know, because I know that some things in corrections, I mean, nothing that we're really going to talk about today other than the fact that it's going to be you know, virtual, but sometimes you don't have access to the internet, so you may have to download resources and things like that and take it in there. So thank you, Rosita. I see college accounting math. That's pretty intense math. I tried to do that one time and I didn't do very well in accounting.
Okay, I'm in.
Hi, Kimberly. We're just asking for people to introduce themselves. So if you take a few minutes, and in the chat, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself, say what the highest level math and kind of what level that you are doing or that you teach. Okay. Thank you for those. I'll let those go ahead and come on in. So continue to share those while we're going forward. All right, so we know that the high set really kind of talks about this application of concepts and analysis, talking about numbers and operations. There's the measurement and geometry, there's data analysis, and then there's the algebraic concepts. And I don't know about you, but when I teach in adult ed and I say, oh, we're going to do algebra today, a lot of students kind of get this look on their face and they kind of grimace. Just last week, I was teaching in adult ed and I asked them, do they want to do data or do they want to talk about algebra? And everybody was like, oh, I don't want to do algebra. So it seems as though it is a math that many of our students don't don't realize that there is application for. And so hopefully today we will talk about that. Most of our students think about math as just being as simple as this problem, like what piece is 45%. They also see it, algebra as just being this type of a situation where it's factor this expression and then they have to do that, or they see it as something like this as well. Or what about these? These are all types of problems that our students see, and they think that this is all the algebra is that it's these problems that they have to do. Well, I really strive for the fact that math is beyond that. And so I have a couple videos that I would like for us to watch. And so I am going to pull one of them up and then we'll watch it. As you are watching these videos, think about what is something that you heard that you agree with and something that pushes against your beliefs, because there will be things that will push against your belief system. So let's listen to this one. Oh, got a commercial.
Wait! Did you download Grammarly?
There we go.
Math is really all about finding patterns. And we can think of patterns as these kind of patterns, but we can also think about all of math as being about pattern finding. So when you look at a new area of math, there's always a pattern to see.
Oh, I see the pattern. When we have a right-angled triangle, the squares on the two sides always add up to the square on the hypotenuse.
Think of math class as a time of working out patterns.
Be a pattern seeker.
Math is a way of making sense of the world, and math is everywhere in the world. If you get in the habit of seeing math in the world and thinking about the patterns you see, it can be really helpful and put you on a great learning path.
Math is a human activity, a social phenomenon, a set of methods used to help illuminate the world, and it exists throughout nature.
One really famous sequence was discovered by someone known as Fibonacci. He found a sequence of numbers so that each number comes from the addition of the two before. The first few numbers in the sequence are 112, 358, 13. Let's have a look at Fibonacci in nature.
We can take Fibonacci's famous sequence of numbers and make a spiral with them. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Since the sequence starts with 1, let's also start out with 1. So draw a square with a side length of 1. Since the next number is also 1 in the sequence, let's add another square with a side length of 1. The next number in the sequence is 2, so let's draw another square with a side length of 2. You can probably guess the next square in the sequence. Now let's add the next square with a side length of 5. And if we do this several more times, we get 8, 13, 21. Look at this cool spiral. What's so cool about this spiral is that it's found in all kinds of unexpected places around the world. Like in a seashell, the Mona Lisa, or even Darth Vader's mask. There are other links between Fibonacci's sequence and spirals. Let's take a look at this pine cone, which has spirals similar to the ones you saw in the previous example. We can draw each of the spirals that we see. Count the number of spirals as we draw below. The number of clockwise spirals is 8. And there are 13 counterclockwise spirals. Do the number 8 and 13 sound familiar? They're part of the Fibonacci sequence. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Fibonacci spirals occur all through nature. How cool is that?
We saw lots of examples of Fibonacci in nature, but that's not the only math in nature. If we think about snowflakes for a minute, we see something amazing. Snowflakes are beautiful and all unique in their own way, but they are also unified by a single pattern. If we look closely, you'll notice that all snowflakes follow the general shape of a hexagon. So snowflakes almost always have 6 points. Why, you might ask? Well, if we take a closer look and zoom into the water molecules that make up the snowflakes, we see that water freezes in the pattern of repeating hexagons. This shows us some of the beauty and art in mathematics.
If you can taste your decaying teeth or have dragon's breath.
So, oops, that's one of the ideas here is this idea that there is a pattern that exists both in nature and just around people. So whenever we talk about thinking about algebra, I often tell my students, hey, we're not doing algebra today. We are pattern seekers. That's what we're going to do. So we have another one, another short video, and then let me pull it up real quick.
One of the most exciting things I've learned in recent years that shocks most people I meet is this. When you make a mistake in math, your brain grows. Synapses fire in your brain. In fact, your brain grows when you make a mistake, but when you get work right, no brain growth happens.
When you make a mistake, you don't need to get the right answer. You just need to struggle and think about the mistake for synapses to fire.
That is because struggle and hard thinking are times when your brain grows the most.
This is why it's important in math class to work on hard problems that encourage you to struggle and even make mistakes, as these are the most important times for your brain.
Thomas Edison is a famous inventor. Over 100 years ago, he invented the light bulb, as well as many other important things. He allowed people to have light when it was dark, when previously they only had been able to use candles.
You may think he was just smart and probably didn't have to work hard, but that isn't true. In school, his teachers told him that he was too stupid to learn anything. Maybe that encouraged him more.
But it wasn't easy inventing a light bulb. He made 1,000 mistakes, but he didn't give up. He kept trying. When a reporter asked him how it felt to fail 1,000 times, he said he wasn't failing, he was taking steps. And he created something amazing. He is well known for saying this.
Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
There's a lot of evidence of the importance of mistakes in life too. It turns out that what separates the more successful business people from the less successful business people is that the more successful people have made more mistakes.
It is really important to take risks and take on hard challenges. Michael Jordan is a really famous basketball player. He was a
6-time NBA champion, the NBA scoring champion 10 times, and all-time leading scorer for the Chicago Bulls. The NBA's most valuable player 5 times, and he won 2 gold medals in the Olympics. Pretty amazing. This is what he said about his playing.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed.
When experts have studied the difference between successful and unsuccessful business people, they have found that successful people do more of these important things. Try seemingly wild ideas.
Feel comfortable being wrong.
Are open to different experiences.
Play with ideas without judging them.
Keep going through difficulties.
are willing to go against traditional ideas.
If you struggle to read books, you're
Okay, so what was something that you heard that you agree with, or something that pushed against something you believe? If you want, you can put it in the chat. Or something that you found interesting. I often show these videos to my students so that way they can start to realize that math is beyond just those math problems that you see. And then also the idea about making mistakes. A lot of times our students they don't want to try to do math because they're afraid that they'll appear inadequate because they'll make a mistake. And I often tell them that it is good to make mistakes because you're actually learning. Failing led to perfection. Thank you. Yes, math is useful every day. Being open to try new things. Yes. And of course, these are messages that we know. It is, but it's very important to share those with our students. And I think by having them see students that are similar to them, that are grown, that are more adults, talk about things and talk about the research behind things, it is very helpful for them to start to connect. Okay, so we're going to do some activities today with everybody in here. And so as we consider building groups today, so as you go into your groups, there are some things I want you to do. So number one, remember you're in a math class. And so you are going to be a mathematician today, because what is the definition of a mathematician? It is someone that does math. And so you'll be doing math. And so you are a mathematician. So this idea that you're becoming more of a mathematician is something that we're going to practice. And we're also going to talk about, when we teach students how to reason, I always tell them that they need to convince a skeptic and to be skeptical. So I always say, convince yourself that your answer is true, and then try to convince a friend, and then try to convince a skeptic. And if you can do those things, then that probably means that you're on the right track. So before you go into your groups, we're going to be doing this activity. It's called number visuals. And so there are some directions here. It says, write the number that each visual represents by the image. What patterns do you see? What do you notice? And then you can use color to show your findings. Now, I'm going to be posting in the board, I'm going to be posting different groups that will have different boards, but you'll be given a Jamboard. As soon as it loads, you'll have this in front of you. So I want you to feel free, if you've never used Jamboard before, there are pins here, and so I want you to feel free to write whatever you feel, or color, or shade, or you can make a note and you can type something. But you can, hopefully you'll work together on this to identify patterns of what you notice about this sequence and what does each group represent. And then we'll come back together and we'll share out things that we find. Okay, so Isabel, how many groups do you think we're going to need?
I think we're gonna get put into the group, so I was thinking maybe 4 breakout rooms.
Okay. So 4 breakout rooms. Let's see. I'm not seeing the option anymore, so I don't know if
I can
something.
do it.
Okay, so why don't you do it?
Or
And
we can
I
do
will.
5 breakout rooms, so then there's 3 people in each.
Okay, so I will.
Oh, I can leave us out of
links.
it, actually. I can leave us out of it.
Okay, that's fine. I will post the links to the rooms in the chat, so that way you guys can go ahead and get there. And then, so as you go into your groups, be sure to click on the group that you're going to be in. So if you're in room 1, you'll be in group 1, and room 2 would be group 2, and room 3. And then we'll just pop in and out, and I'll just be listening to your conversations as you talk and work on these problems together. Okay? So feel free to join your groups.
Brooke, will we be able to get the Jamboard link when we're in there?
Yeah, I think you can still post. I can repost.
I kept us out of it. I kept the three of us out of it since we're
Okay.
co-hosts.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's three in each. There should be 3 people in each of the 4 breakout rooms.
We
And
can
then
go
we
in,
should be able to pop in and
pop
listen
in
to
and see
them.
one. Yeah, sure.
And everyone's in there besides 2 people.
Good. So yeah, we should be able to pop in and out.
Okay, I'm gonna go into number 4 here.
Okay, I'm gonna stop my share so I can get to the break. Something's when I'm sharing, that caption for breakout rooms goes away. So I will jump in to one of these. Let's see, make sure everybody has somebody to share with, it looks like. Okay, now I will just join in and listen. Okay, they're able to access everything, so that's good.
Good. Like they can still see the chat.
They can still see the chat.
I'm just staying here to monitor. more
That's
equally.
fine. I'll probably pop in. I'll pop in and pop out. So
Okay.
okay. Well, it sounds like a lot of them are getting to where they need to be. They're all talking about how it's new to them. Like, oh, this is so new. We've never. So I'm hoping that I'm going to pop into room 2 now. They're having so much fun. It makes me not want to pull them back in for a while. All right, I think I've checked on everybody, but I didn't pop into the one that Greg's in. I'm assuming that they have all, but I'll pop in there and see what they're talking about. All right, they're having a good time. All right. Okay. So I guess the bad thing is that it's not able to record the breakout rooms, like what's going on there. So yeah. And is there a timer? Do you have a timer on your?
No, I can just,
To
it
show
just
me.
gives me to close all rooms. I'm sure that'll give
Yeah.
it like a 30-second
Good
countdown.
morning. Yeah, I didn't keep track of when they started because I don't want to kick them out if they're.
We could put a message in the chat and say like breakout rooms will be closing, and we could give them like a time.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's say that we'll close them in about 5 minutes. That way they can, because some of them are still like, I can pull up their Jamboard and I can see that they're writing and having a good time in there. So.
Cool. So we'll close it at 3:35.
Okay, sounds good. That way that gives them plenty of time to make notes. Yeah, they're trying like group 2 is like actually physically writing with their mouse. They're doing a pretty good job. So now can we keep these these people in their rooms like for the next activity? Like will they already save their assignment or will it always be random?
I'm not sure. I'm not really experienced with.
Okay. I think it will save them. I think it will save the break. If not, I can always post. I mean, it really doesn't matter. They all have the same activities and it seems like they're all really good to work with each other. So.
Looks like Sammy just joined us.
Yep, I went ahead and assigned him.
Okay.
Yep. So hopefully he'll join that group. And I'll get him caught up. Check on everybody a little bit one more.
Oh, don't worry. Everyone's going to be rejoining from the breakout room soon, just in 2 minutes.
Okay, so I think they're about ready to come back.
Okay, I'll close it now.
Okay,
It'll give them 60 seconds.
sure, that's fine.
That's we're back.
And we're getting back.
That's a scary trip.
What a scary trip. That's funny. Well, we're going to be doing a couple more of those trips. You know, if I were there in Florida with you guys, like these would be a paper handout. So it'd be a little bit easier. I could just hand the papers out and we could point to different things, you know. So this is the part that makes it challenging with the breakout groups and digital, but that's okay. So let's talk together. So what were some patterns? So let's go back. So write the number that each visual represents. And what patterns did you see? And what do you notice? Okay. So anybody want to share anything that they noticed?
Columns go up by 7 and the rows each increase by 1.
Okay. Okay. So these are 7.
The shape of a circle was used to make all the other figures.
Okay. Yes, little circles. I've never had anyone point that out before. So what else?
From the bottom left, going up diagonally, it's almost all circles.
Oh yeah, that's
Then from the top right, going down is almost, but not quite, but there's no others that kind of do that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So this would have been 7. And then this one is, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's interesting. 7, 13, 19.
25.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
31.
Mm-hmm. I think that if I let you guys stare at this long enough, you would be like my students and come up with all kinds of cool patterns. I've had students tell me
they all go up by 6.
That's what I've had them tell me before. Tell me that they go up by 6. So that's kind of cool. I've also had them tell me like the triangle shapes are all like multiples of 3. So this would be 3, and then C6 has a triangle shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then so everything, and so that's kind of cool. Multiples of 4 kind of all have a boxy shape to it, which that's kind of cool.
Did anybody find a spiral?
I don't think that there's a Fibonacci in this one.
Okay.
Because it is just number sequence, but it is fun to, like, if you're able to do this in a face-to-face class. And just so you guys know, I do have a handouts for you digitally, and we'll make sure that you get everything so you can do this in your class. I normally give my class colored pencils to color, or crayons or markers, because it does kind of help like draw the lines so they can kind of see what's going on with this. Now, hopefully you kept your Jamboards open. If not, that's okay, because a few of you kind of went through the slides. We have some different activities, as you can tell here, and we will get to them. But this was our first activity. So let me pull this back up. Okay, so some students' comments about the video and just about the idea of visualization. This is stuff that students have said to me that they didn't realize how much math patterns are around me. They didn't think that people used math in their daily lives and that it's not needed. So they didn't really notice all the patterns that surround them. So this idea of patterns and helping students to see patterns in everything is a great way to explain that that's algebra in its purest form, is that algebra is all about pattern thinking and thinking about this. It's pretty cool how patterns are almost in everything that you can find. I tell people that, you know, we're all pattern people. Like, we like patterns, and they make us feel good. So the cool thing about this activity as teachers is that this is a great way to create number sense, to talk about factors and multiples. It helps us to think about visualizing of numbers, about what's prime numbers, or even just how to organizing. And then I did pop in on a few of you, and you guys were talking about the geometry part of it and the geometric representation of numbers. If we're able to color code, like, this is all part of making conjectures and predictions and asking each other questions and just trying to make your statements, you know, to clarify your statements to each other, which that's really what we want our students to do. We would like for them to have activities that stretch their thinking, that helps them to begin to lay a foundation to do more complex type of thinking. And sometimes it just starts with something as simple as looking at patterns. Now, I mentioned that we are going to have the resources available. I do have them on a Padlet. And so they're going to make sure that you get the Padlet, but just so you can see what I'm talking about is that the Padlet for, oops, I guess I got a little happy with my copying and pasting. So let me, so this link will be shared out with you on this page. Like, all the activities that we do, and even the 2 videos that you saw are on here. And then I have some suggestions for other good lessons. Now, the lesson that you just did is on number visuals. And so once you obtain that, you can see that here's the number visual, but then there's like a lesson plan that goes with it. So this will help you kind of see what you need to do. And there's some follow-up questions. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that is based in these lessons, that far more than what we're going to do, but you guys can definitely investigate that. So remember, every activity that we do today, you guys did a good job at this already, is that you're going to first look at it as though you're a student, and then you're going to do that. Then we'll talk about the activity as though we're the teacher. Well, we are the teachers. So remember to encourage becoming a mathematician. Remember to convince yourself, convince a friend, convince a skeptic as you're doing these group activities. So our next group activity will probably have 10 minutes for this activity. And it's this idea of, how do you see this pattern growing? And so we're going to put you in your breakout rooms. This will be slide 2 of your Jamboard. So if you remember, I will post them if you need to. but your Jamboard, you'll just go to the next frame at the top. And so look at this, try to answer the questions that are under here. And if it helps, I made one of these so you can, like, if you want, you can ink it up if it helps you to show your pattern. So, all right, any questions before I put you in your room? All right, well then go to your rooms.
And everyone should be able to join. It's the same room.
Okay, good, 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 good. All right, I'm gonna pop in and make sure everybody's got their same link. Okay, we might want to go ahead and start closing out the breakout room.
Okay, you want me to
So
just
that way,
leave
the-
now?
yeah. That way it gives them a little bit of time to get back in the room.
Yeah.
They must be having good discussion if they're not leaving. I hate to pull them out of there. We're not going to have all. I'm sure they'll be like, no, they should be coming back. Here they come. Did we pull you guys out too fast?
Well, we know we know that there's something, but we can't remember the pattern, the
Yeah.
algebraic expression or the formula.
Yeah.
I keep getting a
so-
does not compute error, so.
Well, we're going to talk about it, but I, because we're teachers, and of course, I would devote a lot of time to this in a classroom, but because this is a presentation and I just have so many cool things to share with you guys, I kind of got to limit our talking and trying to giving us that time, especially because I'm a slow processor in my own thoughts. And so I always tell students that it's okay to be slow and to think about answers and reflect, because that just means that you're really thinking about what's happening. So I totally get it if you didn't have enough time, but we're going to talk about this. So the whole point is, of course, these would be things that we would present to our students to ask them. That other sheet of paper, the one that had so let's talk about this. How did you see the figures growing? Like, can you describe to me? Go ahead, Christina, I see your hand.
Well, we had a participant who can not use the audio, but she did type some answer for us. I didn't read it because I was trying to do my own drawing here, but she said figure 2, add to top and right. Figure 3 adds new to top and right, etc. Then she put 10 in first vertical column and bottom row. Figure 55 would have 55 in first vertical column, 55 on bottom row, and 54 squares inside.
Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. So she was seeing it growing, kind of like one on top and then one added to the bottom type of thing. That's cool. Did anybody see any other pattern in which the way it was growing?
Yep.
What'd you see, Jan?
Okay, so if you look at the going from 10 to 15, 45 to 55, 105 to 120, those 5 going up 5 each time, you can actually calculate your what does figure 55 look like, because each of those 5 number increments, your total goes up by 25 points.
Interesting. I've never had anyone point that out before.
So
but I see it.
Yep, by the time I'm on 30 right now, so I'm still working on it.
Okay, that's fine.
35 is 165.
So this is some of the ways that my students have seen the way this pattern grows. It's similar to the one, Christina, that you said in the chat that appeared, where the one on the bottom was kind of getting shoved and things were coming down like another row. So like the difference between this one and this one was that this piece stayed and just kind of kept moving further to the right there. And then like another column would drop down. Whereas I had another student that saw it as this one was kind of growing like a mountain, kind of going up, and then the lines were coming up from it. And then I had another student say, hey, I'm going to think of it as the negative space. And so this one was telling me that this was the orange was the negative space in which that they were seeing. And then I had another student say, no, that's not negative space. That's part of the square. And so they started with this one to make like a square. And so they would make another square and another square. Whereas this student saw it as a rectangle. So, you know, as you have students and you allow them to share with you what they see, it is kind of cool that, I mean, all the different ways to see a pattern. My last student here, he described this pattern as that it's like rain coming down. So like you start with the yellow, and then if rain comes down as the red, then of course the yellow is going to stop the rain from hitting the ground underneath the yellow, and then the green comes down. So it's trickling down from the sky. So I like all these representations. They do kind of help us reason through the mathematics behind it. So this is the way that I reasoned through this. I mean, ultimately, we would definitely spend time in class talking about this, seeing if we could come up with a pattern. For me, I was noticing, yeah, I'm going to share with you my patterns.
1 divided by 2. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So one side is always one more than the other side. And then it's half of it because you're taking half. So this does take some class time for them to be able to just jump there. And that's okay, because in this time of thinking and trying and noticing and wondering, they're obtaining information about kind of what happened. So 2 things just happened. Brain science, this is the struggle is good. This is when your brain is growing the most. So dendrites are firing, you're creating new neural pathways, your brain is becoming very, very lit up by all the thinking. You're engaging both visually and numerically, which involves all the brain and all the connections. Eventually, this comes up with a quadratic expression. And a lot of students realize that that this actually is algebra. What they just did is algebraic thinking. And when they get to the formula, when they figure out what the pattern is and they get to the generalization, they're like, oh, well, gosh, I just did algebra and I didn't even know that. And so it's a great way to introduce this idea of variables and helping to write things the way they are. In general terms. And then speaking of graphing, so if we could graph this equation, so, you know, if we could graph this pattern using input output of our growing patterns, what would it look like? So I did this on a Desmos and I made a picture. And so here we are quadratic in our shape. And this is a great visual for students to see. So not only was it a picture of the stairs that translated into a general solution, that solution then can be graphed on a coordinate plane for students to also see that this is what the input output table looks like. So that this lesson really has a lot of bang for its buck, so to speak. And since we only have our students for a short amount of time, I like things like this because it does cause them to think and to see and to reason and to create all different types of ideas about algebra. So I have another video. So let me make sure my share got my share sound good. I want to make sure that we hear this. So let me. All right, this is called Nana's Milk.
Oh, yeah. Keep going.
Oh, no. Nana's gonna kill me.
And you gotta throw a little Hershey syrup in there.
Okay, so I'm going to put you back in your groups. Since it's 3 o'clock, we only have a few minutes. I'm only going to give you 5 minutes to talk about this one. So it's the next slide over. It's the slide number 4. And it's how would you fix this? And in how many ways are you able to fix this? This is what you should have done. This is what you did. So try to figure out, like I said, I'm going to 5 minutes. That's all we're going to get. So go to your rooms and talk it out so you can find a solution. All right, I'm gonna watch the time because we're getting there. I don't want us to run out of time. Check on everybody. Okay, you might go ahead and put the broadcast out to close the rooms, please. Okay, I know that was short, but I'm trying to make sure we get through. So how did you fix it? Or what did you think to do?
Add milk.
We just drank it.
Yeah, we said it was the more chocolate, the better. So this ratio is not a problem.
Okay.
25% more milk.
25% more milk.
1/4 more. Yeah, math.
Okay, so this is an interesting thing to talk to students about because like this particular cup, I don't know, would it hold 25% more milk? That would be the question that I would maybe have. I will show you how he resolved this particular problem, and that way you can kind of know the rest of the story, so to speak. So this is what we did. So they added more milk, just like what you said. And one more scoop. So that was the last, that's how they fixed it. That's why on that sheet, I asked the question, how would you fix this and how many ways could you fix this? Because it allows for students to come up with multiple ways of fixing. In that particular example, they added milk and chocolate. You guys were just adding more milk. So, you know, you could come up with ways to tweak the recipe, and it does give students the idea that there is more than one way to find a solution, and talking about when does that matter. And so those are all important things and all great discussions to have within a math class. Another activity that I do that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but know that these 3 activities are in the Padlet, is that I give these 3 different worksheets to students, and I tell them, just pick one of them, work on it for as long as it's useful to you, and then when you get frustrated, move to a different one. And so I let them just kind of work through that struggle and that process, but I'll show you one of them. This is one of the pictures that is part of that, but it allows for them to have a little bit of their own decision about whether or not they're going to work on it. This is another one of those cases. There is also what goes with this is it asks a whole bunch of cases about it. And this is actually an interesting quadratic as well, this pattern. So I'm going to encourage you guys to look at that on the Padlet. And if you want to continue, you can definitely reach out to me via email, and I'm happy to share. There's one of them that I've been struggling with for a long time, and I posted it to the links discussion forum, and we actually solved it together. So the thing to remember whenever we're teaching is that we try to keep this balance of a triangle, meaning that we have to show some of the computational procedural things. We also like to do the conceptual things. And then at the end of it, we all want to balance this problem solving. Now, as an adult education instructor, sometimes we have time that we can spend in class doing these conceptual and problem solving things. Other days, we have to just focus on the procedural. And I get that because it is a balance. Because at the end of the day, our students wanted their high school equivalency before they even came into the building. But this is what I often hear, is that my students just want to pass their whatever. So this is a great quote that says, mastering enough procedures through tricks and memorizations may get students through their test, but it doesn't prepare them for what's on the other side of that. Many students that believe that they passed the test, it is the end of their journey, that all doors will be open to them and that they have the certificate at hand. But we know as teachers that that is not true, that we really want to prepare them to be successful in college and career. We need to help them build numeracy. It is true that students come to us looking for a quick fix, but there is no such thing. So if we really want to do what's best for our students, we will do the hard work of selling them on the need to learn the concepts and not just memorize how to find answers. Teaching isn't about giving students what they want. It's about helping them construct the knowledge and understanding that will move them towards their goals beyond the test. And if they don't come to us wanting real learning, then our job is to help them to want it and not support them in settling for memorization. This is a good thing because a lot of our students do just want to pass the high set or whatever test that they want to take. We use, we have to get our educational gains. I get that. But I try to tell my students that if they focus on the process, that they will get there. One other thing that I want to share with you is I've been on a project for the last 5 years. And one of the things that we have is this video. It's a short video.
Many students struggle in algebra courses, which can act as gatekeepers to STEM careers.
Engineering, just what I want to do in my future, just kind of gotta do it for it, basically.
Students also have difficulty seeing how algebra courses are relevant to their lives and aspirations.
I know it's something that, and I know that I have to get past, but within my career, I'm not sure how valuable it'll really be.
When we interviewed people in STEM careers for our project, they emphasize the importance of mathematics to their work.
Most of what we do in engineering is we ask questions, we pose hypotheses. So if we can't take that data and extract some sort of meaningful information from it, often using algebra, we can't make conclusions.
However, we found that the majority of concepts in algebra courses were dated and not used in practice, raising serious concerns for inclusivity and the equity of STEM training.
I can't say we do too many exponential or logarithmic functions. I don't even know what log does anymore.
Okay, so what about quadratics?
I was trying to find a good example, and I feel like we'd be stretching it to tell you this, so I don't think we use it too much.
We determined that the idea of a mathematical function as expressing a general relationship between real-world quantities that can vary is one of the most useful and compelling ideas in algebra. It is with this idea in mind that we built our environment, Stories of Algebra for the Workplace.
Okay, so that Stories of Algebra is a website that you can go to that will have videos about what a student may be interested in. It can be just social media, and it will show them the algebra that goes into social media, or it goes into even like gaming. Like a lot of our students are fascinated with gaming, and so there is a web link in there that you can go to, and I want to encourage you to go there to connect students to where math is used. Okay, so I know it was quick and we just have like 2 or 3 minutes left for questions, but if you have anything, please reach out and ask now, and I will be more than happy to. And if there aren't any questions, I will kind of show, this is that Story of Algebra webpage, and we talk about video stories. And if you scroll down here, everything is algebra in social science, crime scene, weather, healthcare, sports, social media, shopping, video games. So this is great. It's a great tool to show students where math, they can watch a short little video clip, and it will have someone talking and there'll be a math problem that pops up next to them. It's kind of cool. So, and that's good for our students, I think, as well.
Also, I put a survey. If everyone could take a few minutes after this ends to fill out and give us feedback on the webinar, we'd really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys for coming today. I hope that you can take away something. I will go ahead and post the Padlet in the discussion, but it will be emailed out to you. So definitely go there. That's where all the handouts are, as well as that link to the Stories of Algebra is right here. And then this is another activity that's kind of fun to do that I didn't even talk about today, but these are some that I like. And then these are the ones, this circle favor. Oh, students always look at it and then they're like, oh, I can't do it. And then they figure it out. It's amazing. So definitely look at the things that are in here. And if you have questions over anything, definitely, reach out to me. I'm happy to help anybody with seeing where math is used.
How would it be best for folks to reach out to you, Brooke?
So I will put my email in the chat,
Okay,
and
great.
that would probably be the best way.
Okay.
And so there's my email. It's just my first and last name at cowley.edu. And yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Very informative. Lots of great resources. Really appreciate it.
Well, I know what it's like to be an adult ed instructor and need resources. So
very good. Well, I hope all of you enjoyed this session. Please take a few minutes to complete the evaluation. It's very useful to us to get your feedback on the session. Thank you again, Brooke, and everybody have a good afternoon. Bye.
So Isabel, do you want me to email you with all the links and everything? Or just email both you?
Yeah, if you email both of us, we'll make sure it gets on the website with the
Perfect.
recording.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do that. Thank you guys for everything. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good session. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you later.
Take care. Bye now.